What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, typology stuff. Now, this isn't a comprehensive thing. I've just been appreciating ISTPs a bit lately. And I want to talk about the aspects I've been appreciating. First, I appreciate that they are TI dominant, meaning even though where we've come from and where we're going are different, we can meet where we are and understand one another. As in my experience, it's not that difficult for an INTP and an ISTP, who are very different people, to be able to get on one another's pages relatively quickly when they choose to. It also makes working with them easier, because although TI isn't this finding the absolute truth at all times thing, it thinks it is, even though it's not, you can see one another's chain of reasoning, meaning communication is less likely to get screwed up, or what I read in that book, the messages you're sending through the airwaves are less likely to be decoded incorrectly, meaning communication is easier, because if nothing else, you know what they're saying and why they're saying it. And if you choose to get into a fight anyway, TI versus TI is brutal, but it doesn't have to go that way. And I think the fact our perceiving functions are different makes that a lot easier. As in, an INTP and an INTP, or an ISTP and an ISTP, are way more likely to fight with one another because their functions are the same. And the way TI works, that means if your conclusions are different, then why the hell are your conclusions different? Because TI is all about the objective truth. And again, it's not. But that's the way it feels. So with INTP and ISTP, there is just enough difference to allow trust to happen. Or more naturally, anyway. I appreciate the field research aspect of ISTPs. An INTP will need to force themselves to go out and do field research, as in out in the wild, real life, spooky situations research. But ISTPs itch to do that sort of thing. They will happily go out into the wild and conduct research. And the other thing I like about them, compared to other introverted NI types, they like to talk about the things they've learned. And because you're an INTP, the language they're speaking, which is dominant TI, will make a lot of sense to you, even if their methods don't. All this to say, as an INTP, ISTPs are excellent to have around because they want to go out and learn the things you want to know but would need to force yourself. They'll go out and do it for you, and then they'll come back and tell you and enjoy the entire process of that. You only benefit. Now, your role in this setup is archiving what they've learned, because it seems like ISTPs just forget shit. Like they were more concerned with going out and getting the knowledge than they were with keeping it. That's what you're here to do. You're here to keep it and apply it to larger knowledge constructs and build shit. I also appreciate their realness. Now, everybody's a little bit fake. Everybody lies a little bit. Some people lie a lot. But ISTPs are good at just saying things. They have social and comedic timing like an atomic clock. And the reason this is a benefit, aside from feeling, and I say feeling, not knowing, at least feeling like you know where they stand on things, is because you as an INTP are an inferior FE type, the shit that bugs you about people or about the world is probably going to be pretty similar. Meaning, And because of our inferior functions, this is always something that's on our mind. This is always something we're dealing with. An ISTP will say the thing you specifically are thinking about what some dickhead is doing or how shitty certain people are in the way you're thinking it and would probably really like to say it. And once again, they're good at dropping these bombs, saying this shit at opportune moments. ISTPs are also like informants. This is sort of like the field research thing, but it's a little bit different. ISTPs within your perimeter will out of nowhere skulk over to you and tell you something you want to know that would benefit you to know, or they'll give you a lead on something that will benefit you. How did they find this out? You don't know, and you'll probably never know. But in their reconnaissance, they found this intel that is useful to you, and they like to give it to you in cryptic ways at weird moments. I also like ISTP's threat detection. An ISTP individual might not be any good in a fight or anything like that, not that you're trying to get into fights, but it seems like ISTPs have like a they can detect the pH level of space-time in their area. This is very similar to what we were talking about with ENTJs and their mind powers. Now, ENTJs are a lot more paranoid and a lot more particular and prophetic when they're detecting threats. With ISTPs, it's like a windsock situation or a weather stone. They can usually tell you the mood and threat level of a group of people or even an area. Some people, when they go out hiking in the woods, they take a dog. You should probably take an ISTP. And it's odd that their threat detection is like this because they'll continue to put themselves in risky situations. Now, maybe they're able to deal with risky situations and they don't fear them because they do have that threat detection. Maybe it's just a different it is just a different sort of existence. ISTPs are also surprisingly sentimental, in spite of everything. You might not get to see their human side very often, and they might continue to do broadly inhuman things, but that human side is there, and when it comes out, it tastes very good. We talk about the FE act of tasting emotions like you're doing a wine tasting or something. ISTP's humanity is vintage. ISTPs are also good for broadening your horizons. They rarely seem to mind if you want to tag along on one of their excursions. And as an INTP, broadening your horizons, even when you've trained yourself to do it, that's the funny thing about SI is you reach a point you think you broaden your horizons regularly, but in fact, all you've done, it's more like you've stuck your toe in a moving stream. You are getting exposure because the water is going by and you're feeling it, but you aren't in the river. ISTPs are a good way to go swimming and not be alone. Overall, the reason I like ISTPs is, as an INTP, they're like a field version of you, so they come with benefits you'll need, and also you are like the lab version of them, so when you're dealing with an ISTP, there is a role you can play for them. The same way they, inbuilt, have a role they can play for you. And maybe this is a matter of shared nemesis TE, but when I deal with ISTPs, very quickly we get into a rhythm of wanting to help one another with things. You get to feel useful, they get to feel useful, and you both get to indulge in a little bit of understandable humanity. And without necessarily trying, we managed to hit the 10-minute mark, which is, I don't think it's ideal for videos anymore. I remember there was that time the algorithm loved 10-minute videos. It doesn't seem to work that way anymore. It seems like the algorithm likes either 8-minute videos, because that's the minimum for adding multiple ads in one video, or very long videos. I keep getting recommended 3-hour shit that I have no interest in watching most of the time. I'm a big fan of the 22-minute video and the 40-minute video. And that's probably why I make videos those lengths. Anyway, that's all. Brief ISTP appreciation post. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.